everyone, and welcome to the lecture on pie charts in R. Let's get started by creating a new R script and saving it under After we execute the line, our fuel type data appears in the top right corner of RStudio. By clicking on the fuel types variable, we observe that our data contains two columns, engine fuel types and number of cars. Great. Before we start, we need to address an important issue. ggplot doesn't have a ready-to-use pie chart function. Yes, that's right. There isn't a dedicated pie chart in ggplot. Of course, this isn't ideal, but it just seems we should put in a bit of extra effort to craft our cars by engine type. When it comes to pie charts, the labels are commonly represented in the form of percent of the total. Once again, R is not super helpful here as we are somewhat hacking the ggplot instead of using built-in functionality. we will have to transform the number of cars column values into percentages, which requires a bit of calculation. If you're using R, you probably already have a background in a quantitative discipline. In any case, it's not a very complex calculation. We need the number of cars for each fuel type divided by the total number of car sales. This is simply the sum of all values in our second column, number of cars. This number, in turn, must be multiplied by 100. And that's all we required to obtain our numbers in the form of percentages. We should also attach the percent sign as a string. We do this using paste 0, which concatenates to string and removes the space between them. The result will be the calculated percentages with the percent sign attached to them, exactly what we wanted. And lastly, let's round after the first decimal point using round. Make sure you add the 1 after the actual number, not after the percent sign. Phew! We've obtained the labels in the desired format. Now we can confidently go ahead and position them onto the plot. Excellent! Are we missing anything? A title would be nice. While we're at it, we could also remove the column labels, as we'll relay that information through the title. We start by adding labs for labels and setting X to null. This will help us get rid of the X-axis label here, which counterintuitively has been placed on the Y-axis after our transformation. Following up, we set Y to null as well, which in turn will remove the X-axis label. Last but not least comes the title, which reads as Cars by Engine Fuel Type. Great! I think we are done with the technical part. Now, we continue with another important part of any visualization, choosing the colors for our chart. In this tutorial, we'll introduce a colorblind-friendly palette. It will contain a list of colors hex codes. I've picked those up from the R cookbook. Next, to introduce the new color scheme to our chart, we need the Scale Fill manual. For values, we feed it the colorblind palette, and that's that. Brilliant! What's left? Keeping in with the colors topic, we can forego the gray background of our chart by adding a classic theme. What's more, through theme, we can control other elements in our chart, such as the grid and the numbers around the pie chart. In our case, we don't actually need them, as we're aiming for a clean design. Let's include a theme component, and as its first parameter, we set the axis line to a blank element, which removes the grid line from the plot. Secondly, the access text needs to be a blank element as well, thereby removing the numbers around the pie chart. And lastly, we can format the title a little bit further and adjust the height to be 0.5. All right, we're ready to examine the results. Excellent work, everyone! We've created our first pie chart in R. And it wasn't the easiest of tasks. But hopefully you'll agree we learned a lot about ggplot's capabilities. Going forward, most of the graphs will frankly be a piece of pie. In the next section, we'll discuss our pie chart in more detail. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.